And in this second hour, we're going to be spending some time talking with a guy that I recently got a chance to. We were trying to figure out at this party if we had met before and done interviews before.
Oh, we had, right?
It felt like we did. I'm still not 100% sure where or when.
Sure, we have, but I don't remember when.
Definitely have.
Yeah,
something.
Sure, 100%.
You know what I was thinking? It was. By the way, Shavo from System of a Down is here. Give me the proper pronunciation of your last name.
Odadjian.
Odadjian. I had it right. I said
you had
it
it
before.
perfect.
You heard it. I said. I think I had it down.
It was great.
Shavo Odadjian from System of a Down is here. I think the interview. Now that I think about it, you had started some sort of website or music community thing.
urSESSION.
urSESSION.
Yeah.
That's what I think we talked about.
2008, I think. It was 2008.
What? Is that still going?
No, it's called SoundCloud now.
Oh, really?
I swear I had that idea, and I started the website. The company just didn't get funded, and my partner just wasn't so honest with me, and I learned then on, business and how people can screw you. And it kind of fizzled away after we dropped a bunch of money and got, I was doing press tours. I came to New York, spoke to you. I spoke to a bunch of people. It was going well. We had about 50,000 subscribers, but, something, plus at the time I wasn't, on point the way, you are supposed to be. I was more making music and I was a rock star and I was just like not doing business, but I had someone that was my partner that was going to be the business part. And he kind of dropped the ball. And before I knew it, my PR was just PR, and it just never went anywhere. A couple of years later, SoundCloud popped up, and it was the same concept of a community where you can post your music and everyone can hear it. That's what it was.
So the company was originally called urSESSION. urSESSION.
Yeah.
Because that is, I'm 99% sure that's for sure one of the times we talked when you were promoting that. And now, did you get? So it sounds like you got screwed in that deal.
Pretty much.
So did Sound?
But I learned a lot.
The people that though you were doing it with turned it into SoundCloud.
Oh no.
Or SoundCloud just took the idea.
I don't even know if they knew the idea. If they found, I don't know if we were that big for someone to jack it, but it was the same idea, and just SoundCloud had better backing and better people behind it. And I mean, that's what it takes. You can have an idea, but it's all about the execution.
Now, you said you learned a lot. And we're going to get into this because you have a few different businesses and you're active behind the scenes in music, doing even some non-music related stuff. Mm-hmm. But you had said that you learned a lot. What did you learn about it? What were I imagine it was certain mistakes not to make.
Yeah,
right?
At the time, I trusted more than I should have. I took a back seat in things I shouldn't have taken a back seat of. Like, for example, in System, right? Like, I started the whole managing of it, the promoting of it. I was the one booking the shows. I was on point. I was like on top of it. Yes, I was writing music with Darren and doing what we got to do and rehearsing and working, but I was on point. I was more about the business too. In this company, I kind of just was like, I'll promote it. I had the idea for it. Now you guys go make it happen. And I just kind of
just be the rock star name.
Yeah, I did that, and that doesn't work, man. Especially when you don't know the crew that's backing it. I trusted them. They had things they had succeeded in, so I said, oh, this will be one of those. But everyone with one success has 8 failures. So that's what that was.
So early on, and we're here in LA where you weren't born in LA, right?
No, I was born in Armenia.
You were born in Armenia, but you moved to here to LA very early, right?
5 years old.
5 years old.
Right on, and moved to Hollywood.
So you don't have any recollection of being in Armenia, obviously, at 5 years old.
The only recollection I do have is because it's a mountainous and it's cold in the winter, it's snow. So I remember snow. I remember, holidays, and I remember just things like that. But I don't remember too much because I was,
so young. Yeah. So what brought your family from Armenia to Hollywood?
Just opportunity for us.
What did your dad do?
My dad at the time was a tailor there, but when he came here, there was no, he didn't know how to get a job. We probably had $200 in our pocket. And because at the time, Armenia was a republic of the USSR. It was one of those republics. It wasn't its own free country. Mm-hmm. So it was rough. The borders were closed. We had to first become citizens of Rome. We traveled to Italy, lived there as refugees for 6 months, 4 to 6 months. And I remember little things, from the travel,
Sure.
And then we moved to Queens, and then we were there for about a month and then moved to LA, Hollywood.
Wow, she did some jumping around
yeah,
there.
man, at 5 years old.
At 5 years old. And then you come to Hollywood, and then does your family, does your dad find work pretty quickly, or was it rough? I mean,
I think, no, it was rough, bro.
I imagine it would be hard.
He, with like, thank God they knew the language there. My dad was, they all went to school there, and my mom was a linguist there. She knew like 7 languages. So when they came here, they knew how to speak the language, and which made them a little easier to find a job.
Right.
And I think he worked at CNR or something like that, one of those like clothing places, as the same thing where he's trying to keep the tailor thing going, but didn't work out. I remember at some point he started driving a lunch truck, and he was just he was trying his best to support his family, whatever he could do. And then my mom worked also all day. I remember just being raised by my grandma for at least the first 5-6 years of us being here.
You still have both your parents?
I have both my parents now.
Do they still live here in LA?
Yeah.
They do?
Yeah.
And for you as a kid, making that adjustment, which again, you're so young, you really don't know, I'm sure, what's going on, but what was it like for you growing up here in Hollywood? Wasn't it because you weren't from this country, and I don't know if did you speak English at that point?
I didn't speak. I never went to school there, so I kind of like started the whole going to school education here. I knew words. I didn't know I wasn't fluent, but I got fluent fast.
Right.
I started pre-kindergarten and then went to first grade. I didn't go to kindergarten. It was in pre and then first. And it was a culture shock, of course. And I do remember, I learned everything in Hollywood. I grew up on Kingsley and Sunset and Fountain, which is like where the gangs were all going off. There was hookers on the streets, homeless everywhere. And this was all new things for me.
So it was a rough area.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So you come here. So now the other, of course, everybody in System of a Down is Armenian, right?
Yeah, true.
So that was by design. Did you make friends with those guys early on, or when did you get to know them?
Well, I was rehearsing at a place called Nightingale Studios in Burbank, and I was with a band called Roswell, and I was just started playing bass because I was a guitar player from young, and I just couldn't find a bass player that played like the way like for a band that I liked. Like it was either they were virtuosos or they were just picking up the bass and they couldn't play 2 notes with a good rhythm, Right. And I believe in a bass player being like meat and potatoes, and just keep the rhythm of the band. And that wasn't happening. Be the anchor. So I picked up the bass and just started playing. And they were rehearsed. Darren and Serge were rehearsing in a studio right in the same complex with a band called Soil. And they were just brand new. They had like 3 songs. And I knew them from our elementary school back in the day, but I didn't know them as friends. I just knew that they went there. So it was like seeing them was like a reunion. Oh, you went to that school. You're playing in a band. What do you do? We kind of clicked, And then,
but I'm sure that the click also happened because you were all Armenian, right? That there was
other Armenians around that were musicians too.
There was.
Yeah, we kind of like migrated to each other. It just happened where the 3 of us clicked, and then came our first drummer, Andy. Well, okay, let me go back. Soil, the drummer, was a Hawaiian dude named Domingo. Shout out to him. He's in Hawaii. I still get hit from him on Facebook and stuff, which is really cool. And I was managing. They asked me because I was like talking, and I was a big fan of the style of music that they were playing. They asked me if I would manage and get them shows. I said sure. Like you speak well. Go. Can you do this for us? Sure, I can. As I'm doing that, they kind of fall apart. The drummer moves to Hawaii. They get rid of the bass player. And Darren asked me, do you want to join and start another project? There's no more Soil. I'm like, dude, that's crazy. But yeah, sure. And Roswell nothing was happening with that project. We were just playing like a few songs. We didn't have any shows. And the rest is history, bro. We kind of got this guy, Andy, who we knew also from back in the day. He played for a while, and then we were like, a lot of time passed. We were playing shows in LA. And right before we were about to get picked up, he smacked the wall, broke his arm in like 10 different places, and he couldn't play with us anymore. And John filled in and kind of stayed.
Had the gig ever since. Before we go into System of a Down stuff, I wanted to go back a little bit. You want some AC?
Yeah, please.
Can you make it cooler in here? Thank you. So
sweating.
I want to go back sooner if I can, or earlier. So you're 5.
Mhm.
You're here in getting acclimated here in Hollywood, and then where does the music bug hit you? Where do you get into music? What do you first hear? What inspires you to become a musician?
I think I had the bug from all the way in Armenia because my mom had a lot of records. She had like the Beatles records, like all in Russian, written in. I still have those records, by the way. So, and I listened to like Boney M. I remember that. There was this other African dude named Afric Simon that I used to listen to. I used to dance around. My mom would say you'd like perform at 4 years old, just like run around. We'd play music and you would pretend like you're lip syncing and dance and stuff. I don't remember that, but she says I did, and I was always had that in me.
Yeah.
When we came to LA, I remember seeing a mural of Kiss, and I was like on Sunset somewhere. It was like a
now, what year are we talking
79.
about? 79. Okay.
Yeah. And I was just taken by that. Like, wow, how cool is that? Like, they have guitars and they have makeup on. I didn't know there was music, you know?
Right.
And then I saw them on Solid Gold in 79. And my mom let me stay up and watch it. And then that was it. I was like, dude, you could do that? Like, that's something you can do? You know, like you could play music and like put makeup on it, you know, and like perform. That's amazing, right? So I wanted to do it forever. But my mom never got me an instrument. She was just, I guess it was this whole thing of like from Armenia being an artist or being like a musician. You're poor. You're, you know, in Armenia.
It's not something
no.
you can make a lot of money with.
So that's why I didn't get an instrument for a long time. And then around like 13 years old, my grandma got me a guitar from Guitar Center, a Kramer XL. And that was it. I just like played on my own all day, all night.
No, and it was guitar initially.
It was guitar.
Even though you're a bass player, you're known as a bass player, it was guitar.
It was guitar, yeah. I started playing bass 6 months, like maybe 7 months prior to start playing with System.
Like so,
Yeah.
like so many other musicians, it's the bug started with Kiss. It was Kiss planted the seed.
It did, I swear.
Did you get to go see them? Did you?
So
when did you first see them?
That's funny. So it turns out, thank you, bro. So it turns out that the person that owned my building in Hollywood. Sorry for all the noise.
No, that's okay.
This mic is really hot.
Yeah, it's all good.
So the person that owned the building was a hairstylist, and I guess she did Gene Simmons's hair, right? So I remember one day I was like 13 or 14, and my mom was talking to the lady that the daughter of the lady that owned the building that we lived in, right in Hollywood, and oh yeah, my son is a big fan. I was like, what are you talking about? And I guess they were talking about Gene Simmons, and oh, if he's a big fan, whenever he comes into town, they have a show here, we get tickets, don't worry about it, we'll hook you up and your son. So it came around.
Is this around 79?
No.
Later.
I was 13 at this point, you know.
Oh, so this is probably the non-makeup, non-original.
Non-makeup. This is like, I think, Crazy Nights.
Oh, way later. Okay.
Yeah, or wait.
Crazy Nights would have been
Animalized.
87.
No, it was Animalized.
Okay.
It was Animalized because there was Heavens on Fire on that.
Okay.
So they played Costa Mesa with Anthrax. I remember that. It was Anthrax, Alice in Chains. No, it wasn't Alice in Chains. That was something else. But it was Anthrax and Kiss.
Okay.
And my dad took me. It was Costa Mesa Amphitheater, and we had like 6 row seats, and then they got us backstage passes. So I went backstage. I got to meet them. I met Eric Carr, bro, which was really cool.
Eric was a dear friend of mine.
Well,
I loved Eric. I miss Eric to this day,
rest
man.
his soul, man.
Yeah, he was a sweetheart of a guy, and I'm sure. Now, System started in 90. Well, Eric was already gone when System of a Down started. But System of a Down is a band that Eric Carr would have loved.
Oh, man.
Because he loved stuff with, like, different changes and sounds. And, like, he was, like a band that I worked with back in the day, King's X. Eric Carr loved King's X.
I love King's X.
Yeah, so many people do. I mean, most musicians do. And Eric loved King's X. And Eric was such a ball buster and such a good guy and just so much fun. And it's cool that you got a chance to meet him. I first met him very randomly. I was a kid when I'm older than you. I'm 10 years older than you. But Kiss, for me, was my gateway band. And the first time I saw them was 1977, Madison Square Garden.
That's the era.
That's it. That's a Live 2 tour in December 77. Right? I'm the biggest band in the world then.
Yeah.
And I went to that show, but then years later, when Eric had joined the band, and they, at that time,
the elder is that?
Well, yeah, but at that time, Kiss was really down and out, like in America in the early '80s. It took them a long time to really. It wasn't until the reunion tour that they got back to where they once were.
I remember seeing. I used to watch this show, 2020 Video,
yeah,
or something like the Video 22 or something like that.
Yeah,
and it was. I remember they premiered the Lick It Up video, and
it was MTV did, yeah. When they took the makeup
was it on
off.
MTV?
Yeah,
because I remember seeing this one premiere, and I remember running around the house looking for a VHS so I could record this thing. And I remember getting the last like 20 seconds of it, and then watching that last 20 seconds the whole for days and months, I should say.
Yeah, but the crazy thing was that Kiss didn't even early '80s play gigs like. They didn't play any gigs in America except for one for the Unmasked record, and they were going through this whole transition thing. But some friends, me and some friends drove to Massachusetts because I live in New Jersey to go see Kiss, and it was like a 6-hour drive. But we didn't want to take a chance that they weren't going to play in New York, and we went up there. And I'll tell you, I had the most surreal moment with Eric Carr because we were just kids. I was just shy, a few years away from before I got into the business. And we got a hotel room next to the venue where they were playing. We go in there, we get some beers out, and we're playing our Kiss music on the boombox, and we kept the door open to the hotel room because we're like, maybe some other Kiss fans will come by, staying in the hotel, cool. And we'll all hang, and we're playing Kiss records and drinking beer, getting pumped up for the show. And who walks in but Eric Carr?
That's crazy, bro.
He was staying in the hotel on that floor.
Wow.
And that was the kind of guy he was. Like, he just blew our minds as kids. He's like,
he would just walk in.
Hey, guys, what's going on? And we're like, oh, my God,
I did that kind of stuff when we was, it's like, I love that. That's
and then
we would have been bros, man.
We gave him a Michelob, and we sat there, and we talked, and there's a photo of it. I, to this day, have a photo of it. And then we ended up becoming great friends. Like, we stayed, and like, as I got into the business, I helped him with some stuff. He was just a wonderful,
So you knew him
guy.
Prior to the business? Like being involved
as a fan, we had a fan moment that is captured in this photo, and then later on he put it. And I said to him, I go, I was the kid, and he's like, what? And I showed him the picture, and he was just the best guy. It's just such a, even though he's been gone over 20 years, it's I think about him all the time. Such a huge loss, and I've said this many, many times. When all the years I did that metal show, he would have loved that because he was a ball buster, man. He loved to be practical jokes and
he
ball
busters. Sat there and talked to
you. He would have been
I've watched that show a lot.
Yeah, he would have been with us constantly because he would have loved to have stirred the pot a little bit. But tons more stuff I want to get into with Shavo from System of a Down, who is here right now. Just getting a little of the history, which I think is so interesting. And then, of course, we'll talk about what he's got going on now. If you got a question or comment for Shavo, we'll take a few calls, 844-686-5863, 8446-VOLUME. We'll come back after the break with more right after this. Trunk Nation on SiriusXM 106.
Oh, yeah.
Robert DeLeo is in and out of the studio. Yeah. Say something so we can actually acknowledge that you're here, please.
Bass.
Hell yeah.
We're talking bass here.
We've got a lot of bottom men just walked into the room because Shavo's here from System of a Down. Robert DeLeo, who was just on with Eric from Stone Temple Pilots. What are you doing here again, man? You can't stay away from me, man. I'm like a magnet when I come to town.
I came to see you, and you always bring great musicians together. So.
Oh, yeah, man.
Yeah, well, you guys are just meeting for the first time, right?
Yeah.
After all these years, we finally meet.
I'm like an admirer, a fan. You know, so
right back at you.
Thank you, brother.
I can't believe that there wasn't a System of a Down Stone Temple Pilots
There
festival.
hasn't been. Maybe a festival somewhere, but I don't remember like where we actually communicated.
We just planned it. Oh.
Oh,
today, yeah. It was I got him on Instagram.
STP SOAD tour coming out.
Man, that would be awesome.
That'd be fun.
That would be a good bill.
That would be
cool.
fun.
Yeah.
Be very fun.
100%.
So I have to go do my thing.
You
now.
gotta go do
It's a pleasure, my dude.
Yeah, right back at you, brother.
Hell yeah. We'll talk.
I'll see you when I get off the air, man. All right, guys. Enjoy. There he goes, Robert DeLeo of STP.
Love that guy, man.
He's the best.
Yeah.
Dropping by, saying hello. Great people, and we just had them on the from the Rainbow the other day, which
I was going to ask you how last night went.
It went great. With Billy Gibbons on. We had a good time. Billy was awesome. And
I'm sorry I couldn't make it.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
My kids passed the test, by the way. So they have Taekwondo. They do Taekwondo for 2 years now. I have a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old.
Okay.
7-year-old was taking the red belt test, which is right before black. And the 5-year-old was going to the brown, which is right before red. So it was important. I take him, I wanted to be there.
Stuff.
So, and then they passed. They flying colors. I was like the proudest dad last night.
Do you do martial arts also?
No. I wish I did.
My son was really into Kung Fu and did it for many years and was really committed to it. And then like in the last year, just lost the interest in it. He's 11 now. But he was really into it, and it was really good for him at the time.
My friend's kid, my friend's the one that got us to go there with the kids, was there for 2.5 years. Right when he turned 10, he quit it, which I'm thinking, maybe that's the age.
I think they go through phases. Yeah. They go through different things that they're into, and some like you just were saying before, you saw Kiss, you got the bass, you got the bug, and boom, you've been in music your whole life.
Just knock on wood,
Earlier before you got here, I took a call from a listener who was talking about seeing System of a Down here in LA before you guys were even signed. He talked about going to, I think he said the Viper Room, and he got this early demo or this early cassette. So when the band comes together, I remember getting, I think it was a CD single for Sugar, which was probably the first time I had heard the band and listening to it. And I had not heard anything like that before in my life. Like, I was like, this is wild, man. Like, what's going on? Like, it was a completely different thing. When you guys came together, was what sort of, like you said, you grew up into Kiss and other things, I'm sure, as well, as you discovered. But what was the stew that created, like, of the four of you guys that made this sound that is uniquely System of a Down? The band sounds like nobody else, which is a compliment.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Yeah, no,
I mean, really, I
take it as that.
Incredibly unique.
Yeah. Well, Darren and I bonded while he was in that soil band, and like whenever the bass player would put the bass down and go outside to have a smoke, I'd get on the bass and we'd jam, because it was just, we kind of connected for some reason.
Because you were playing guitar
I was playing guitar, but I'd grab his bass and I'd play, bass, and we had a click. Like, I'd play a bass line and he would be able to solo over it for 10 minutes. And that was a vibe that we caught. And so I think that's where it was his idea of, like, because I never thought like they were going to fall apart and Darren was going to ask a guy that's been playing bass for 6 months only to play, because he'd already been playing guitar for like 10 years, I was a rookie at the bass, even though I've been playing music for that over 10 years, but not bass. But I guess it's about the souls, connecting, and not the instrument length of how long I've been playing an instrument. And then the music just started coming out. The riffs we were, coming up with, and the drum beats we were putting behind the riffs kind of created a new style. Like, we'd use Latin beats and Armenian beats with like metal riffs.
Yeah.
Which kind of did something different. And then the one thing that really stood out was Serge's vocals, because he really wasn't a vocalist prior to the band. He was maybe about a year. He had been singing around with Soil. Prior to that, he was a keyboard guy. And I remember Darren would give him CDs and say, listen to this. It was Sepultura, and it was like Obituary. And he learned how to growl, and all this stuff started happening. And no joke, the first year we were not sure he was going to be our singer, because, he wasn't a trained singer. He wasn't confident. If you watch our early shows, he depends on this little box that he would hit, like a little distortion box for his voice. Every time there would have to be a scream, he would hit that. He got rid of that quick. When he got rid of that, I think is when we became like a real band, like where I was like, okay, this is the unit. It's us four,
So when you're making music like that, now we're talking early 90s at this point?
Yeah, we started in 94, 95.
So you're making demos, and you're out there working it, and you're trying to get the attention of record labels and build an audience. Did it happen pretty quickly for you, or did you guys work the scene here in LA a lot?
Dude, I was working at a bank doing wire transfers at First Interstate Bank. I was going to college. I was managing the band, and I was rehearsing at nights. We didn't have much money, so it was hard for us to make a demo. It wasn't like we had computers nowadays where you could just record a demo in your house. It was at least going to cost us about $1,000 to put something together, because you had to get the tracks, get someone to do it for you. We weren't engineers. So we couldn't get a show. It was hard to get a show. We had like 8 songs. We didn't have a demo. So I was calling places up, the Roxy up left and right, and they would hang up on me. I'd say, hey, this is and Shavo from System of a Down. Who? System of a Down. It's a weird name. We're using down as a noun, because we put the A in front of it. That word becomes a noun. So
What was was that always the name of the band, System of a Down?
Yeah.
And where did you get?
No, it started with Victims of a Down, which was a poem that Darren had written, but I wasn't happy about the word victims. I just didn't want to be called a victim for my whole life. You know?
Makes sense.
Then when someone said System, and it was like, boom, that works because it's stronger. You know, it's the whole thing that we're a part of. The victims are a part of a system. So that's how it became a name. So anyways, backing up again. So I was doing wire transfers. In between wire transfers, it was like, thank you for calling First Interstate, blah, blah, blah. And then calling the Roxy up. Next call is the Roxy. Hey, this is Shavo. I need a show. They would hang up on me since I didn't have a demo, and I'd keep calling back. It was Eddie Ortel at the Roxy.
I know Eddie.
Of course you do.
Eddie's a tour manager. Eddie's a great dude.
Hey, guess his first tour managing job?
You guys?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
We took him out. We took him from the Roxy. Dr. Evil. So props to him.
Eddie's awesome.
Yeah, so he would hang up on me all the time. And
he was booking the Roxy?
He was the in-house guy at the Roxy, the sound guy and the guy that booked the shows.
Now, were you getting gigs elsewhere?
We had no gigs. I've never played a gig in my life.
At
that point, I've never played, and I played at my college like auditorium once for like a assembly or something.
But of all the venues in LA,
I would call Roxy, Whiskey.
Oh, you called them all?
I would call them all, but I would get hung up on by everybody because they wanted a demo tape, and I didn't know how. I was like, dude, we don't have a demo tape yet. Like,
so you're just a band nobody's ever heard of, and you're cold calling clubs saying, I want a gig.
Yeah, because we had a rehearsal place, and we would call our friends, and they would watch us play. They'd be like, dude, you should take this to a show. I'm like, okay, we should. Like, we'll all come. I'm like, I know, but like, it's hard to get a show. So at some point, Eddie he's like, dude, stop calling. I'm like, listen, I'm going to get a show. He's like, here's a number. Whose number is this? It was a guy named Brian Markovich, some LA's scene promoter. Called him up after 2 times getting hung up on. The 3rd time I called him, he's like, can you sell tickets? I said, yeah, I'll sell tickets. And he gave me 75. I met up with him. He gave me 75 tickets for a show. He booked us for a Tuesday night. It was May 28th, 1990.
What was the venue again?
It was Roxy.
Roxy.
It was May 28th, 1995. And
how much did you have to sell the tickets for? How much were they?
$10 or $11.
So you had to come up with $750 basically to play the gig.
Exactly. We sold about 140. I came back and asked for more tickets.
Ooh,
yeah.
Oh. How did you do that? Did you call in favors? A lot of friends?
A lot of friends, bro. Like, I was going to school.
Give me $10.
No, he's like, no, we're going to play now. We're finally going to play a show. But you have to support us.
Were you selling them at the bank?
Oh, that'd be funny. No, I was still going to school, remember? So
right.
I was at school doing it. I had a mailing list written up, and I would walk around school with a pamphlet going, hey, you want to join our mailing list? Like, what is this? Like, I was that guy, dude. I was like going to make this happen, And so we played. So the show was this. It was 7 bands, 6 ska bands and us. It was like 3, and then they put us as the 4th band, and then 3 other ska bands. And it was like 35 people in the whole place for the first 3 ska bands. We get on, 150 people come in, and we're heavy, right? So like the pit, and we have this guy with a big long beard singing, and like we're talking about the Armenian genocide. Yeah, we have this Armenian genocide like banner up, and we're like talking about that, and like we're political. And there was a paper there called the Rock City News. There was a guy that wrote for that, and he was the Prince of Darkness, Chris, and he wrote about it. He's like, something's going on in LA. Something just happened. I witnessed something. I was at a ska show, and this band came out and blew up, and then walked away. It was a 20-minute set. We played like 5 songs. Anyhow,
all original.
Wait, we might have. But we didn't do it. We have a cover that we used to do at the time for Berlin Metro. But I don't think we played that.
A heavy version of that?
Oh yeah, it's it's on the Dracula 2000 soundtrack.
Really?
Yeah.
I have that. I have to pull that out.
It's pretty cool. I think it's on that one. It's on one of those.
Yeah.
Same era. Excuse me. So Brian Markovich right away was like, "Can you do that again?" Like, yeah, we can do that again. So then we got another one in. It was May 20th, so in June something, I think June 24th. I remember because I'm booking these shows, right? And at the Whiskey, and we did it again. We sold like 200. We just
the word was out.
The word was out, and then we never sold tickets again. And I made sure we played a show every month, just to like keep the vibe alive. And we kept writing music and pushing it. And I'd go to Kinko's, and I would make stickers and flyers, and I would cut them myself. And like there was no like major computer programs, and
right.
But I would be typing on a typewriter, putting it on a Xerox, blowing it up to the size I wanted it to, cutting and pasting 4 on one page, making the copies, cutting them with those big thing.
The big knife. Yeah.
Yeah, man, I did all that, and I made stickers. Actually, the guy that's tied up, that's on the cover of all the old stuff, that's a friend of ours. And, you know, I think he was a little schizophrenic. He had something going on, maybe Asperger's, you know, where he was like on the spectrum. He wouldn't talk, but he looked kind of wild with that haircut, and he looked very like businesslike. And I was like, what if we tie you up and write System of a Down on your chest and take pictures of you? He was amped to be that guy. So I did that, put him on the flyers, and we're passing out flyers with this guy tied up. System of a Down, like, what is this?
Yeah.
Actually, prior to having a show, I would make those flyers, and I'd go to like Corn shows and like Deftone, and I'd pass these flyers out. They'd be like, what is the System of a Down? I'm like, oh, you'll find out one day.
Yeah.
Just getting the name. I was a marketing thing, you know, and I didn't know I was marketing. I didn't know I was branding. I was just doing what I thought should be done.
Of course. And it was Rick Rubin who signed the band, right?
At that Viper Room show that you were just mentioning.
And he came in and he said this was something he wanted to bring on his label. And of course
he came through, and I remember it was a big deal that, you know, got Rick Rubin at your show, you know, and this is after a while we've been playing. We have a bunch of labels after us, but no one's throwing a deal out. Not one person put a deal out. There was like 4 or 5 labels there, every show. And bands like Snot had gotten picked up already. Cold Chamber got picked up. All these other bands coming up, they were picked up, not us. And all of a sudden they said, Rick's coming to your show. I'm like, fuck, that's so rad. He came to the show. I saw his head. It was a small place, the Viper Room. From stage, you could see every audience member. And he was bobbing his head. And then afterwards, he met us outside and said, I want that. He just said it right away. And the next day, there was a deal on the table.
Wow.
So everyone started throwing their deals. Oh, shit.
Yeah, of course. And everyone comes out and follows the leader, of course. We got to get another break in. We're going to come back. When we do come back, we'll have about 15, 20 minutes left in the show. I want to talk a little bit about what's going on now with Shavo, because he's got a few different businesses, a few different things that he's doing, and also get a little update on what, if anything, is going to be happening with System going forward. So we'll talk to Shavo about all that. We got a few phone calls, too, we'll try to squeeze in before we wrap up on this Tuesday. It's Eddie Trunk, Shavo from System of a Down, in studio, live from Los Angeles. Back after this. All right, we're back on Trunk Nation. I want to grab a quick call or two before we get a few other things from Shavo before we wrap up. Toby in Connecticut's been on hold for a while and wants to get on the air here and say hello to Shavo. Go ahead, Toby.
Hey, Shavo, man, it's awesome to talk with you again. I haven't talked with you since, gosh, 97.
Oh, wow. What's up, my brother?
I used to, my buddy was a writer for Rock City News, and I used to tag along as the photographer. And I remember seeing you guys at the Roxy and seeing you guys at the Dragonfly.
Yeah, the Dragonfly. Wow.
Those shows were so electric. Oh my God.
Yeah, thank you.
And
thank you, bro.
I want to thank you guys as a fellow Armenian for really using your stardom to really help bring some focus to the Armenian genocide, and to it's something I grew up with my great grandmother telling me the stories of what she went through before she came here. My question is, as even with the new stuff you're doing now, how do you continue to bring that Armenian voice? How do you see that Armenian voice coming out in your creativity?
Because I'm Armenian, and when you're Armenian and you have a past like we all do, it's in you forever. So it's not something that's ever going to come out of me. You know, it's just, I'm born with it. I'm going to die with it. You know? So if I have an opportunity to speak about it, yeah.
How do you, you know, I mean, it's a hard subject to bring up. For myself as an artist, what are some ways to kind of really bring it in without like bringing down the room, so to speak? You know what I'm saying?
Well, you know, I speak about it in interviews, and you don't always have to be negative about it, even though it was so negative. But look where we are now, bro. You know what I mean? You can't always talk about how it was and how shitty it was. We're at a place now where we can talk about it. People know who we are. People know our genocide occurred. I think that's a good thing. It's not sad anymore. It's sad what happened, of course, but we can't live in the past. We can't live with misery. We have to kind of think of the present and the future and think of how good we can make it. So but just by talking about it, and by, you know, just that keeps it alive, and that keeps our souls alive.
Toby, thank you very much for the call. Did it amaze you, Shavo, and the rest of the guys, how big System of a Down became making music the way you made it? Bro. That it's uncompromising, it's not commercial, it's very unique, but you were very embraced and still are by rock radio. And these days when you play, I mean, the band headlines festivals. I mean, you guys can play anywhere and pull 15, 20,000 people easily on your own.
Yeah.
It's remarkable to me, not because I don't think the band's good or anything like that, but it's remarkable to me the type of music you make and how different and unique it is, and doesn't really fit in a box.
I think
it's
why,
connected in such a way. Does that shock you guys?
It shocked me in the beginning. Now I'm just rolling with it. We're blessed. I can say that, and we've just stayed true to what we're doing. I guess we haven't done too many extra things, and we're just doing what we do, bro. And if it's taken well, and like I said, we're blessed for it, and I'm so thankful for it.
So what is the status of the band now? Because would it be safe to say there's a level of dysfunction? Most great bands have some push-pull among the members. Would you say that's accurate?
It could be accurate. I mean, we haven't made a record for 12 years. We do play live still. We do tour, not as often as I would like to, but I am blessed for being able to still do it. You know what I mean? We're not, like, when we're put together, the four of us, we're not hating on each other. We hang out. We have a good time. It's just we haven't made music together, which kind of frustrating, I'll be honest, because I know we can make the bomb music together.
Do you have... Are there fragments of songs?
Yeah,
have you guys? How far did you get? Like, are there rough demos or are there recordings that weren't finished?
2 years ago, we got together, the three of us, and we said,
the three of us minus Serge.
Well, minus Serge, because at the time he was doing a lot of solo stuff, and we're like, dude, we don't want to wait around. Let's just get in there and see what we could do. And we got in and wrote about 10, 11 songs, and Darren brought 7 to 8 songs. I brought 4 or 5 ideas in that become songs, and they became songs. And minus Serge's vocals, of course, it was really good. It came out really great, and I hope to one day go back to those and use some of Serge's stuff. I know Serge's got some stuff in the make. I don't know. We can do something. In my world, man, why isn't it happening is a big question. I think we can get over anything, because it's not like someone's done anything so horrible that we can't get over it. Ain't nothing like that. It's just differences, creative differences that are lasting a little too long for me, for my taste.
Do you still have a record deal?
Yeah.
So I imagine 13, 14 years, the label must be on you like crazy saying,
they were on us for a while. Now they're like, they'll do it when they do it. When they do.
Well, that's pretty cool to have that sort of. And your manager, is he kind of trying to?
Oh, he's like he's that choir. Every day we get a call
trying to put you guys in the same room together to make music.
Yeah.
But there's no timetable for it.
No, none. I wish there was.
I can see the frustration in you when you say that.
I wish I could tell you, yeah, dude, we're doing this, but it's just not happening at the moment.
But what I can't get a handle on is why. Is it hard to connect? Are there tensions? Is something that have to be smoothed out?
It's been so long, I don't even remember why we're not going in there at this point.
Because I think it's hard for fans to understand how a band could get together to play live,
but can't write us two together.
Can't
I get you.
Go make a record or make a song.
I'm one of those fans that has that question. I swear to God, dude. I really would love to have done it. Like I said, if it was up to me, we'd have never stopped. We would have been on our probably 9th or 10th record now. And,
when was the last time you guys played live?
A few months ago.
Was it here in America?
Yeah, we played Chicago Open Air.
Oh, okay.
And then we also played Sonic Temple Festival.
Big festivals.
Yeah, in Ohio. And then we did a little run in October of all the Southern California cities. We played LA. We haven't played LA for years.
And where did you play here in LA?
We played San Bernardino. We clocked in at 45,000 people.
45,000 people.
Yeah.
And you were the headline. It was your show.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's insane, bro.
And we're not making a record, bro.
But let me tell you something. Well, that speaks to the power of your catalog.
Yeah.
Even though, what is it,
5 albums.
5 albums. Yeah. So it speaks to the power of the catalog. As crazy as this sounds, because most people, myself included, think of System of a Down as a newer band, but you actually have now 23 years.
23 years, yeah.
So as crazy as this may be, you're actually maybe in a younger generation's classic rock, believe it or not.
We've become that. A lot of people who see me nowadays, they go, "Oh, you're my childhood." I'm like, "Oh, am I that old now?"
I was 10 when I heard you, and now I'm 30.
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
But then, that happens, and it blows your mind when it happens.
Does.
It's like when people tell me, I run into people who meet me, like, I watched you. They're like 30 years old, and they're like, I watched you when I was a little kid on that metal show. I'm like, what? You're like 30. You're like, oh, shit, what the hell just happened?
I'm with you, bro.
But there's that, and here's the other thing, and when you and I hung out at John Five's birthday party a couple weeks ago, I mentioned this to you. The fact that I think a lot of bands are guilty of overplaying and overexposure, where they play so much that it's not an event to see them and it damages their draw. There is, I think, something to less is more, where you don't see each other. It becomes an event. Your guarantees go up. More people turn up because they know that every month they're not going to have a chance to see you. And I think System of a Down benefits in a way from that as well, because it's more of an event when you actually do come together to play.
Very true. I also think it has to do with the fact that, like, we started off as a live band. You know, we played live. We didn't start off recording albums. So when we're up there, we're having a blast, and I think everyone could tell. I think our stage performance is not a joke. You know what I mean? Like, when we're up there, we're not joking, and we're playing our asses off. So that could be part of it, because, you know, but I know what you're saying, and I agree with it.
Yeah, it makes it more of an event.
But like I said, I'm blessed to have been able. We don't have an album for 13 years, and we can do that.
Knock on wood. Knock on wood. As a headline, that's insane. We have 5 minutes left. I want to give you the opportunity to talk about what you are doing outside of the band, because you've got a lot of things you do. You're a businessman. I know you do some artwork. You've directed videos. You were telling me here where we're sitting, very nearby, you did some scored Mortal Kombat or something like that.
Right
I know you have a cannabis business, which you told me about at John Five's here in California. Cannabis, weed is legal in other parts of the world as well. So in the 5 minutes we have, what do you want the audience to know about the things that you've got going on?
Okay, I started a brand called 22 Red. I've been smoking cannabis for about 24 years now. And
it helps you with...
It totally helps me, man. I used to use Xanax and stuff back in the day. I went in for that. I got that out of my system, and I haven't touched a pill. I haven't touched a painkiller for 4 years. I do a little CBD, and it takes away that edge that makes people go to the pill, you know? So anyway, that got me into the whole CBD world. And then, of course, I smoke THC, and I know the best growers, and I know all the best spots. So I kind of recruited all the growers that I love and got some strains together that I think should be smoked by the masses. We're growing it. We're selling it. It's going pretty well. We've been live. We've been selling since November of 2018. We dropped it in 11/11/2018. We're in about 50 stores in Cali now. Our CBD you could buy online at 22redcbd.com. We have 4 flavors. It's 0 THC. It's hemp-based CBD, full spectrum. What else? It's a lifestyle brand, so I'm also dropping some of the new music that I'm making because I'm in the studio every night. I'm still making music.
On your own?
On my own. I have a new project called North of Kingsley. It's because I grew up on North Kingsley Drive right here in Hollywood. And it's my past, you know, and since I'm doing it on my own with 2 new guys, it just fits. It's just perfect because I could talk about it and I get passionate about it because that's where I got my life and that's where I learned about everything. You know, I grew up on that street, so it's like everything all the bad things and the good things all came from there. The music's coming around. We will be dropping sometime early next year, I think.
The new band,
the new group, North of Kingsley, and you can follow me, Shavo Odadjian, on Instagram. You can follow 22 Red LA on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, and I hope to be playing live soon with you guys and have you guys check it out with both bands, System and
Is there some stuff cooking with System for live shows?
Things I can't talk about, but yes, always. We're always cooking, and 2020 looks bright.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for people that are fans, it's there's some reason for optimism for System of a Down.
Yeah, for shows and stuff, but I can't talk about anything just yet. But hopefully, I can soon.
Okay. Yeah. Well, when you're ready, we should definitely have you on to continue talking about that. And you're still doing scoring stuff as well?
I haven't recently, but the last thing I did was that Mortal Kombat thing. And then I've also scored a film called Babylon AD. About 10 years ago, I did that with Vin Diesel. like a great trip. Everyone wants to go see that movie. It was a great movie, but I think the score is a little out there because that was my first time I actually got a film, you know?
Yeah.
So I put like Quiet Riot in there. I put Sepultura in there. It was great. Like I used all my childhood music to score a film with some of my original stuff. So with the RZA from Wu-Tang.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, him and I scored that together.
And you actually directed some of the early System videos, right?
I directed the Chop Suey thing was my concept, but I had Marco Siega direct it and make it because I didn't know how to do that. When I did that, I did Toxicity on my own, used his crew. That was my first video that I wrote and directed. And then I did Aerials, I did Question, Hypnotize. That's it, I think. Yeah, maybe I'm missing one or two.
Would you like to get into doing that more? And would you do that for other bands?
Of course I would. I just, recently a few bands have approached me, but it's a little rough right now with all the other stuff going on. Plus I got 3 kids, got the family. So I just don't want to spread myself too thin, but it's something I love to do. It's like, I love writing to music, painting to music. So when you make film to music, it's very satisfying.
How old are your kids?
I have a 7-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 16-month-old.
Wow. So, and you know what I just realized? None of your kids have been alive when a System of a Down record has come out.
They have not. Actually, that show I'm talking about in L.A. was the first time my boys got to see me, and I took them on stage. It was like one of those moments.
Oh,
you know?
wow.
Yeah, where they actually understand now, and they're like, wow, is this my dad, you know? So
I was just reading some press with Tool's new album coming out, and it's been 13 years since they released a record, and they got a record coming. And the writer, I think it was in Revolver magazine, he said, since the last Tool record, there was no Twitter, there was no Instagram,
True.
there was no Facebook,
Us
there was no social media.
Us too, there was nothing.
Like all of that stuff is like when you put it in that perspective, it's like, oh my God, that's been so long.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully, you know, who knows?
Knocking
Somewhere
on
down
wood.
the line, you guys find a
wood.
way to get in a studio and make music. And in the meantime, you're just going to have to settle for playing a 45,000 as a headliner every once in a while. That's not so bad.
No, I'm okay with it.
Hey, man, thank you for coming in. It's great to talk to you, man, and keep us posted and hang anytime you want. It's great to reconnect with you. And
thank you.
I wish you all the best with all the stuff you got going on. Shavo from System of a Down spending this last hour with us on Trunk Nation here on Volume.